atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jimmy Butler has spread his cancer all over the Heat, and he has ruined their season. I do believe they'll never recover from this disastrous guy that is, purged on him. I mean, he's ruined. Like, they don't matter anymore at all. Like, I watched them play last night. They sucked.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Wicked Wednesday has begun as I see the national anthem has begun. I don't believe there'll be any booing this evening of the anthems in Los Angeles. The Vancouver Canucks and the Los Angeles Kings, the last game to step up on the ice in the National Hockey League. We start here. Breaking news, Quinn Hughes. A lot of talk last week about Quinn Hughes potentially playing in the Four Nations Face-Off Championship game. And it was like, is he playing? Is he playing? Is he not playing? And he clearly wasn't ready to play. And there were all kinds of conflicting reports tonight. And I see right now, and this is breaking news, literally and figuratively for real, he's on the ice right now. And as of like 5-7 minutes ago, Vancouver Canuck beat writers were saying he's not playing. That I tweeted out, I said he did the pregame skate, and then they said he wasn't on the ice after. So it appeared as if though it was like, all right, he was going to go, but they decided not to. I see him on the ice right now for the national anthem, which I don't really think is going to change the number. Sportsbooks don't really get enough action on hockey games to notice player injuries, to be honest. Right? Like tonight, you saw a little bit of a move with the Ottawa Senators because the Senators were just missing so many players tonight. Like all their best players were out tonight, and they still gave it a pretty good effort. The Winnipeg Jets have now won 11 games in a row. Vancouver have struggled coming out of the Four Nations. The Kings have looked good coming out of the Four Nations. They beat Vegas the other night. I think that the Canucks, listen, they're going to get a bump tonight. One thing with the Canucks, every time they're sort of kind of left for dead, where even people in Vancouver are more negative about the Canucks than people outside of Vancouver. All right, so there's a lot of negativity about this hockey team. Like people got spoiled last year and thought they were going to be like the best team in the league or something this year. It doesn't work that way, right? Every year is different, but they're battling for a playoff spot. They've lost the last couple of games. It wasn't due to lack of effort, really. They were shorthanded. They're injured, right? They were coming out of the Four Nations. Demko's out again. Quinn Hughes was out. It's sort of one thing after another. It's whack-a-mole for this team. But they do always just punch back when you least expect it. They're like a fighter that's on the ropes, and you're like, oh, this dude's done. And then suddenly, so it's like, oh, look at this, man. Look at this. You know, oh, wow, look at it. They just won a couple of rounds in a row. They're back in it, right? So they are battlers, this team. I think it'll be a close game tonight. I think the Canucks are live dogs this evening. And like I said, Quinn Hughes on the ice. There really hasn't been any movement. The Canucks are plus 150 right now. What I like in this game, and for those of you paying attention, I know a lot of you are because we see you online, we've been on a little bit of an NHL roll so far. And I'm not laying massive prices, but if the team's the favorite and I got to lay the juice, I'll do it. If it's the underdog, I'll do it. If it's a goal prop, I'll do it. We hit the Winnipeg Jets tonight against that shorthanded Senator team. We played under 6.5 tonight in the Devils and the Avalanche alternate line. Under 6.5, minus 160. 1-0 Avalanche right now. 5 minutes left in the first period of play. We got a total of 5.5 here in the Kings and the Canucks. So what I like in this game, I like the Vancouver Canucks plus 1.5. If the Canucks are going to lose, they'll lose in overtime. All right, the Canucks are good at like squeezing points out of these games. They got Kevin Lankin in between the pipes tonight, who's now their number one goalie. This gave him a contract extension as well because Demko's always hurt. You got Red Light Rittich in nets for the LA Kings tonight. It just sounds good, right? Anytime the goalie's name is R, it's like Red Light Rasico in Montreal in the old days. But David Rittich isn't, you know what I'm saying. So it's a little bit dicey taking a 5.5 here. But we're going to go under 5.5 in this game, and we'll go with the Vancouver Canucks plus a puck and a half, minus 165, and we'll split the play. We'll take the Vancouver Canucks on the money line as well. I think the Canucks step up, and Quinn Hughes is out there right now. So let's rock and roll as they get their best player back and one of the best players in the National Hockey League. Let me get these extra picks in. We've been killing the National Hockey League. And it's funny because I've been scared of it every day, right? Coming out of the Four Nations, I was like, all right, let's take the Capitals. And then it's just sort of been like, all right, you sort of ride the hot teams and play the hot hand as it rolls on. I hate when they do this. They got me in between like the in-game and the real game betting here. With the Vancouver-LA game, I'm trying to get the bets in, and the pregame bet wouldn't let me, and then the in-game bet wasn't up. All right, so I hate that little in-between period. Sometimes, too, this will happen in basketball. They'll sort of freeze you. Like, hardcore gamblers know what I'm talking about here, right? When you get caught in between. It's like right before tip-off, they take it off the board, but the in-game is locked. And you're like, all right, no big deal. I'll get this in a minute. And then next thing you know, one team goes on like a 12-0 run, and you're like, son of a bitch, the number's gone, right? Old school bettors think differently than the modern bettors. Modern bettors live with like the wild runs early. It's like, no, we got to get the bet in before the game starts. So the game has started. We got college basketball. We got NBA basketball, though not a ton of NBA going on in the late night hours tonight. There's games going on, but we got a full slate of like bubble watch games going on right now. I'm not a bracketologist, but I'm paying attention. You got Kentucky and Oklahoma. This is a big-time game for the Oklahoma Sooners tonight. I like this Kentucky team, actually. They were shorthanded the other day on the road against Alabama. I thought they played well on Saturday. Kentucky's up 43-41. We've got Kentucky on the money line in this game. They're currently laying 4.5. The total's 174.5 in-game. SEC, just like their football conference, basketball, very high scoring. St. John's up 38-32. The Johnnies becoming a very trendy team right now. They have more fans like nationally right now than they do in New York. Like St. John's are not big. Like they're not big. Like I was at a Big East tournament before at MSG, and like they had the least fans there. And you read previews of games sometimes. It's like, oh, they're playing at MSG. The place going to be rocking and stuff. No, They have less of a home court advantage when they play at MSG when they actually play at home on campus. Arkansas and Texas, bubble watch, big time. Although, listen, they're going to want to put everybody in the SEC. I think you're probably going to get 13 teams in the SEC. Think about that. Maybe more. Like, I don't know about 14, but let's say 13, 14 teams. That's a serious chunk of the tournament field right there. Like, think about that. And they're all justifiable for the most part. Like, I'm not telling anybody, no, they don't deserve to be in. But Arkansas need some wins. And so do Texas. Arkansas are winning 42 to 30 right now. They're at the half. We're on the Hogs in this game. We got the Hogs on the money line, and we got Kentucky on the money line. Games that are going on right now, BYU and Arizona State already got started. This BYU team are ruthless right now. They're just rolling, man. They're rolling home. They're rolling on the road. They're rolling everywhere. Brady Cannon will step up, and we'll get into some golf talk. I got college basketball picks for you. We'll track the NHL game. Paul Bovey steps up, and then we talk NBA basketball. Ian Cameron in the house. The Wicked Wednesday has begun. Bring it.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. The pits, the players, the hustlers, the people who bust them. Everybody else in between the Wicked Wednesday has begun. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got hockey going on right now. An important game. All these games are actually important in the National Hockey League from here on out. Although I will say this, the season's too long. So we're coming back from this Four Nations right now. And to put in context, the Vancouver Canucks come into tonight. They have 50 days left in the regular season. There's that much time left. Like, if, you know what I mean? You sort of think like, oh, you know, March Madness and the playoffs are around the corner. It's like, not really. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, wow. And to get this, the Canucks play 25 games in 50 days. That's like how they end the season. They play 25 games in 50 days, 13 of them at home, 12 of them on the road, starting tonight in Los Angeles. Still scoreless right now, 6 minutes in. I apologize for my tweet, although I just retweeted what the Vancouver Canuck beat writers tweeted out. Good job, guys. This is as good as Quinn Hughes was going to play last Thursday in the Four Nations. But nevertheless, the game has started. We got a scoreless game here. We got a game going on in the Mile High City. Big-time game there as well with the New Jersey Devils and the Colorado Avalanche. 1-0 for the Avalanche right now, late in the first period of play. And we got a golf tournament to break down. We got Brady Cannon in the house. We got NFL talk. We got golf talk. We got it all tonight. Brady Cannon, Cam Stewart in the house. Good to see you tonight, Brady. How you doing tonight?
Hey, great to be back with you guys. Gabe and Cam, you're the hockey experts. I got to ask you guys, Devils Avalanche, possible Stanley Cup final preview? Yes? No?
No. Devils are not making the cup.
I like Colorado better than New Jersey, too.
I think there are a couple of, are the Devils popular? Are a lot of people, backing the Devils? Because I think the Avs are under the radar. But are the Devils,
Start of the year,
Devils,
people loved them, Gabe, right?
No, last year the Devils were super trendy. And they ended up getting their coach fired. It was one of those deals. You know what I mean? Sort of like, think like a football team is supposed to, like the Bears. Like, all right, this is the year they're breaking out. Like, they got all this young talent. And they ended up getting their coach fired. Then they bring in the Maple Leafs coach, and they redo everything. They're like, listen, you guys, like, we can't play 5-4 games. We got to play defense. Like, that was the Devils' big thing. But I was just going to say, the Devils get overshadowed, right? They're not a money team, like in the sense, Brady and Cam. Like, even in New York market, they're an afterthought, right? They play in New Jersey, bro. They play in New
they're
Jersey.
not the
in the
Panthers,
hockey, in
they're
the
not
hockey
the Lightning.
world.
I think they're on TV too, personally.
No, they're a good hockey team. I'm just being honest. I don't think they're going to make it to the Stanley Cup.
I'll tell you,
Like,
Brady,
you know
at
what
the
I'm
start
saying?
of the year, the Devils had the most, tons of tickets. Like, they were everybody's darling. Gabe's right. Like, ooh, the Devils, this is going to be their year. They got new coach, that whole thing about these guys is, it's the same old story. Like, people talk about the Leafs. Well, the Devils haven't really, you know what I mean? Every year, they're supposed to be the darlings. Well, I'll take the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't care about their stupid history of getting bounced. I look at the East, it's weak, and I think they're a good number. They're actually playing really good hockey. They came back from 3 goals down against Boston. They got goaltending now. I'm telling you, man, this could be the year. Just saying.
Well, you guys may remember, you probably don't. I remember I always like to make 2 bets on 2 teams in each conference to win the conference. And last year I had 3 out of the final 4, and we were able to really, monetize, and then ended up, getting the Panthers home in the final as well. So it was a nice end of the hockey season for me last year. So and I've been handicapping the handicappers, talking to Pizzola and Gamblu and some guys, McInnes, and trying to find out who they like, pick their brain. I landed on 2 in the Western Conference in the Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. And in the East, I took the Leafs and the Devils. Those are my 4 teams this year.
Interesting.
I'd take 3 out of 4 in the dance again.
So I can't argue. Your Western Conference selections were, what'd you say, the Avs and the Vegas Golden Knights?
Correct, yes.
So you passed on the Edmonton Oilers this year, huh?
Too popular, yeah, and too short of a price, and they lose 1 series and they're done. And I think,
I know
Vegas has more points than them. And
there's Xander Schauffele, bro. They're ready to win a major. Like, it's one of those deals. I'm just going to use a golf term.
Well,
I know.
They have the best player in hockey, right? We get that. No, I think there's, put it this way, I think there's more value on Vegas and Colorado.
You're not crazy. The other day, I'll ask Cam, who are your 2 teams for each conference?
I'll go with Colorado for sure. Probably the Dallas Stars for me, Gabe. You're right about Edmonton, but it's just there's a lot of things about that team. Like McDavid could take them, and Draisaitl. I worry about the goaltending and defense. I really do. East, Toronto, Washington, that ship has sailed. So Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the Lightning would have been my other choice. I would have gone Toronto and Tampa or Toronto and New Jersey. I don't disagree with you on Tampa. And Pizzola was.
I wish we got Washington at the start. And Gabe, let's give McInnes credit. He said they were going to be improved. I didn't see this. I don't know if anybody saw this with the Capitals. They were projected to be one of the worst teams. They're on fire. They're only 6-1 in the conference now. It's crazy.
The Lightning at plus 850 to win the Eastern Conference. I don't think it's a bad price. You got a really veteran team. They're starting to dial it up a notch. They probably, you could argue, he's the best coach in the league. You know, he just won with Team Canada and John Cooper. So they're incredibly well coached. They're battle tested, this team. I think the Lightning are dangerous. The East is kind of open. I think the Panthers, I was shocked the Panthers won last year. And I give them credit because they freaking made it to the finals the year before. And number one, it's just super hard to do that, to get back to the finals, and especially in hockey. Like, not that it isn't in any sport psychologically, guys, but in hockey, you got to play a lot of games, man. Like, you make it to the Stanley Cup finals. Like, you know what I mean? And then they go all these game sevens, and it adds up. And it's a lot of hockey that you play, and it's finally catching up to them. Right, look at Kachuk is hurt now.
What happened to the Warriors?
Coming off the
they played so many games. The Golden State Warriors, they're finally out of gas 10 years later.
Yep.
Dude, you added up, Brady. You look at all of Curry's games. It's actually like an extra couple of years out of a career. I saw that with Tom Brady. Tom Brady played nearly 3 years of playoff football. 3 years, like, added on to his career of just playoff games.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. You're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. So, but I've played it well, and I really liked it that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. The Vancouver Canucks strike first. They take a 1-0 lead over the Los Angeles Kings. All right, we'll get into the golf. We'll get back to the hockey picks after. I'll give you my picks for the conferences. The East is wide open, right? I think, like I said, I think it's going to catch up to Florida, all the hockey that they played. It adds seasons to your career. There was a funny story, too. There was a dude on the Canadiens, and he got traded. I forget who it was. Like, if I saw his name, I'd be like, oh, yeah. and he was super depressed. He got traded from the Canadians to the Florida Panthers, and the Panthers were like always the worst team in the league all the time. And he got there, and everyone in the room could tell he was kind of down and stuff. And someone pulled him aside, and they said, "Listen," they said, "number one, you're not going to get any better golf courses here." They said, number two, there's no media. Nobody cares, man. Like they said, they said, number three, it's tax free. And I'll never forget the story. He goes, and number four, he goes, you're going to add multiple years to your career because we never make the playoffs.
There you go.
No, but you think like how a player thinks, right? It's like, years of service. But as as you talked about, Brady, with like the Warriors, it's a lot of basketball. Yeah. Think with Draymond Green. This guy's played a lot of basketball over the years. Right. It adds up compared to a dude that's like, hasn't been in the playoffs and gets eliminated all the time. So it catches up in hockey. And I was quickly with it. The Vegas Golden Knights sort of fit that mold for me. At times, I really want to buy into Vegas. They're just, they're like Tampa. They just know how to win games. They got a bunch of like big dudes. They play great playoff style hockey, but they're pretty beat up, right? And, these guys, they have a lot of players. They played in the Four Nations, their guys. Theodore gets hurt. Stone played his heart out here. Eichel gets beat up and banged up. I think it could catch up to the Vegas Golden Knights. I kind of think Colorado just aren't good enough this year. I think people are dismissing the Winnipeg Jets. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are like, oh, the Winnipeg Jets haven't done it before. Well, very few teams have. Like, there's only a few teams that really have one. And, like, if you want to hype up the Maple Leafs, like, the Jets are on an 11-game win streak. Like, the Jets are terrorizing teams on the road, at home. They have Connor Hellebuck, who last week everybody was telling us is the best goalie in the world, right? So, to me, the Jets are dangerous, but they're a lot like the Buffalo Bills, and not in their playoff failures, but in the sense that the town that they play in identifies with the city so much. They're under more pressure than teams are. Like, you're under more pressure than you just are. You play for the Winnipeg Jets, like the Jets versus the Golden Knights, there's more pressure on the Jet players. Right? People in Las Vegas are going to go to the Bellagio and play blackjack after the game. Right? People in Winnipeg are going to go, like, smash windows and, like, break up with their girlfriend after the series. Like, there's a different, like, mentality of pressure on the players when you play, not just on a Canadian team, but on specific Canadian teams, Brady. Like, certain markets, you know what I mean? Like the Green Bays, the Buffaloes in the NFL. The Winnipeg Jets are like that, bro, and, like, the NHL. Like, there's severe pressure on the team, like from the bus driver to the school teacher to the taxi driver to the worker at 7-Eleven, everybody's all in. And, you feel it. If it starts going bad, you got problems. But speaking of which, the NBA, everybody complains all the time about load management. But I got to tell you, Brady, these golf tournaments every week, and I know the hardcore golfers, you guys see value in the betting board, but to the casual golf fan, a lot of the big names never seem to play very much, Brady, anymore.
Yeah, I tell you, you're preaching to the choir, and that's why they're trying to, make the connection with Liv, because it would spice up the field a little bit. Maybe you get a Brooks Koepka here. Maybe you get a Dustin Johnson. Maybe you get a Tyrrell Hatton, who, by the way, won at Bay Hill, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, where we'll be next year. I really think there's only about 8 guys on the Live circuit that are relevant, that I really care about. But those are 8 pretty big names that, if 4 of them were in the tournament this week, that's 4 guys that spice this thing up a little bit.
Yeah, but what about the PGA guys on the tour? Like, they're playing in the TGL, but when are they here?
You're gonna get them for the next 2 weeks. It's a signature event next week at Bay Hill, and then the following week is the Players Championship. So they basically took 2 weeks off. They finished up the West Coast swing with the Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines. They didn't go to Mexico. Only a few of them are here at the Cognizant. And they're all going to be back, including, you mentioned Xander Schauffele. He's supposed to be back next week at Bay Hill as well.
All right, so we'll hit we'll get Brady's picks on the other side. Shane Lowry is the favorite at 22-1. Russell Henley 24-1.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's get down to some golf picks right now. We got one of the best in the business, of Brady Cannon. So, Brady, I know you like to these tournaments. We can talk about the lack of the big star players, but from an odds perspective, it always presents value. Look, the lowest favorite on the board here is at 22-1, and you're getting big numbers all the way through. So, who should we be taking a look at this week?
Yeah, it's exciting because I think there is a great chance that your winner is going to be 50-1, 80-1, maybe 100-1. And that's always attractive. But it's also, at the same time, maybe harder to handicap because, if you're looking at 10 stars, if Morikawa's here and Matsuyama and Schauffele, then you figure one of those guys is probably going to win. You're handicapping kind of a smaller pool. Here, it's wide open. I went with all long shots except for two guys. I figured I had to have a couple of the shorter shots on my card at least. And I went right to the top of the board. I went with Shane Lowry. He is the very best player in the field this week on the Florida swing. He is better. He's better at the Cognizant, Bay Hill, the Players, and the Valspar, better than this entire field in his career. The last three events, he's finished 5th, 4th, and 2nd here. He's never missed a cut in 7 visits. So I had to go. And, Cam, you know this. There's a ton of crossover here with British Open champions or people that have had success in the British Open. Padraig Harrington's won here twice. Ernie Els, Rory McIlroy, Ricky Fowler's played great here. Adam Scott. Well, Shane Lowry, another British Open winner. So I went with him. And then Taylor Pendrith, a Canadian, 30-1, who I really think is an up-and-coming star. I think this guy is going to be winning some golf tournaments here regularly in the next few years. And I love what he does off the tee. He's second on the tour in ball striking, and he can putt lights out as well. He's got that lethal combination of a short game and a long game. And then the rest of the way, guys, I went with bombs. Nikolai Højgaard at 64-1, JJ Spawn at 70-1, Jonathan Vegas at 85-1. He's been here 10 times. He's only missed the cut once. He's finished top 36 times, and in 2017, he was 4th. This guy's money at this course, so I grabbed him at 85. Nico Echeverria, He has done extremely well on a couple of my correlated courses. He's won twice in the last 2 years. That's more than most guys in this field can say. And yet he's at 100-1. And then I took a real long bomb. A lot of these guys also, by the way, Gabe, live in Florida. Pendrith lives in this town, Palm Beach Gardens, Echevarria, and my last guy, Ben Coles, they live in Ponte Vedra. Shane Lowry lives up the street in Jupiter. They've all played this course 1,000 times. And Ben Coles is my real long bomb at 200-1. He's 15th on tour in ball striking. He's 15th on tour in strokes gained putting. And this is really interesting. This is the hardest course on tour for approach shots from 150 yards or better. Ben Coles is number one in this field for strokes gained approach or hole proximity from 150 to 175 yards. So I thought that was pretty strong right there.
I'd be in a lot of trouble on this golf course.
A lot of people are.
If that first shot is not hard, I'd be in a lot of trouble.
I'm just trying to get one of my guys going here.
Oh, here we go. Pendrith over Berger. Interesting matchup bet there, Brady. And you lay in 20 cents. A lot of people like Berger this week, but Pendrith, you said it. He murders the ball straight, and his ball striking is impeccable. It's all about the flat stick.
Yeah, and I would say Pendrith is a better putter in the long haul than Daniel Berger. Berger definitely prefers Bermuda grass, went to Florida State, finished second recently in Phoenix, but that was kind of where I was headed. I felt Berger was going to be too popular for my liking this week. There was going to be too much love for Daniel Berger. He was kind of an obvious choice here. He's done well here before, and I thought it was very interesting that the odds makers had Pendrith as a favorite. And I was like, yeah, I like Pendrith this week, and I'm gonna jump on that. Now, I have since seen at this same book, it flip, and now Berger's minus 115 and Pendrith is minus 105. But I'm okay. I like the original move or where the odds maker set it. I don't know if there was a move prior to that, but it worked for me last week. Went 2-0 with the matchups, and I saw the same type of line movement again. Looking at the BetMGM numbers, Daniel Berger is the third largest liability for the books this week. He's one of the most very popular in ticket count percentage, as predicted. So the fact that Pendrith was favored said a lot to me.
I'll bring up a golfer, and we'll get to Cam's picks, and I see that Cam has him on his board. And if accuracy is so critical on this golf course, then this would be a perfect golf course for Russell Henley, who's playing great golf right now as well. We're not getting great value as far as the odds because of the field. He's one of the favorites, but Russell Henley from an X and O standpoint seems to make sense, guys. Cam, I see you have him on your board.
I do have him, and it was between him and Lowry, and I can't take two guys with chalk, so Lowry had a boost, but it's all about Henley for me, Gabe. He fits every check mark for him. He's also fighting for a Ryder Cup spot. I saw an interview on Golf Channel. He's really jacked up. He loves the Florida swing, Georgia Bulldog. It's just one of those situations where I love Brady's pick too. Lowry never finishes outside the top 5, but Russell Henley is one of the best ball strikers going. All he does is nut shots and keeps it in play. And Brady's streaky as hell. Once he gets that putter going, he can go real low. So it was, you know what, Gabe? I actually think it's a good, Berger's priced the same as Henley, and Henley and Lowry should be way better than Berger. Berger's overpriced this week. I think Lowry and Henley are right where they should be, right, Brady? That's actually a good price, 25, 26 to 1. On Henley.
You nailed it. There's 3 or 4 guys that kind of all fit the same bill at the top of the board this week, and you can't take all 4 of them. I chose Lowry. Cam took Henley. By the way, Billy Horschel and Eric Cole on your card. I know some very sharp people that I respect as far as, golf picks are both on Eric Cole and Billy Horschel. Horschel, the Florida Gator, loves putting on Bermuda, has done very well at this tournament in the past, so I can't argue with him at all.
All right, Brady, before we get you out of here, we have a segment. We have a bit on the show. It's called The Best of X, and it's stuff that I see online that I think is worth bringing up on the program. And I saw this earlier in the week, and I thought it would be fitting on our golf night tonight. Let's roll it. See, this was when golf was cool. Here's Chichi Rodriguez and his caddy. 1975 Masters, Brady. Look at that look at that caddy. Like, that's a caddy. Look at that.
Number one,
That looks
Chichi
like
Rodriguez.
Curtis Mayfield.
He looks
He's
like
about to start singing the Pusher or something. That is fantastic.
Yes.
yeah, and
I've
Chichi
seen that
looks
picture.
like
That's
a
a famous
cocaine
shot.
like kingpin. He looks like a drug dealer, like playing golf, like on his spare time.
Yes.
How dare you
That's an
interrupt
awesome
my round?
shot.
Like he's looking up, like you know,
Exactly.
who are you?
Let's see
Like,
if you took it like it didn't see the golf course or clubs, you're like these guys are running a drunk empire right now.
if I was
amazing.
playing on a golf course like behind these two, I'd be backing off. I'd be like, I'm not messing with that caddy, and that golfer looks like he's like a cartel kingpin. Like, don't mess with
Hey,
him.
listen,
I'm gonna
pal,
stand back.
don't hit into that group in front of us. They look dangerous.
or if they want to play through, I'd be like, yeah, you guys can go on.
Yeah, anytime.
You guys
No
go
problem,
on.
guys.
That is awesome. Like,
But
wow,
that's when
man.
golf was cool in those days.
You're
Like,
right.
you know, look at that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Well,
like
you
I
know,
saw our
Arnie
boy
and Hogan,
Dubsy.
those guys they used to smoke a lung dart. You know, they'd be on the first tee and they'd have a grit going. I mean, yeah, no doubt
reminds me
about
of
it.
my
I mean,
grandfather, Brady, looking at this, the wardrobe, like the sweater, the pants, like that 70s, the 80s, the sweater look. But see, our boy Dubsy the other day had a golf video, and he said, "What do you guys think?" And he was asking about his outfit. And his outfit was terrible. Like he had like purple shorts and a weird yellow. Like it
I
was
wasn't
like,
a huge fan. The swing looked good.
No.
But yeah, no, I mean,
what I told him.
How about the
I
socks?
said, your swing
Remember
looks
the
good,
socks?
Dubsy.
What
I
were they,
said,
orange or purple or something? I mean, what was wrong
Were
with
you
socks?
trying to be mismatched? Like, come on, Dubsy. It was awful. What you like? It was a terrible look.
I'm down with you.
Great
Brad.
swing though.
Yeah.
But this is what Dubsy
yeah, great
needs. Like Dubsy needs to dress like Chichi Rodriguez or Chai Rodriguez. As Les Nessman would say.
Les Nessman, Chai Rodriguez.
That'd be
If I
that'd
see
be a
these
great
guys wearing these
party
damn
team, right?
Jogging pants, Morency, I'm gonna snap. I hate that style so much. Bring back this. I'm so done with these guys. Hey Brady, guys wearing khakis on the golf course. It's like, get a grip. Brutal.
Speaking of WKRP too, Lonnie Anderson, married to Burt Reynolds, lived in Jupiter.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. So, but I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. Great stuff with Brady Cannon. As always, for the record, we always usually ask him who's the
the biggest liability for the books in Vegas, and it's he uses the MGM numbers. And as expected, I thought it was Shane Lowry. It is a lot of money on a lot of tickets on Daniel Berger as well. But interesting, he said that there's a lot of plays on Pendrith as well. Like as far as like volume plays, there's a lot of tickets on Pendrith to becoming a real trendy player. Taylor Pendrith is trendy, just like Paul Bovey. Paul Bovey sets the trends. He was drinking cafe latte long before Starbucks was even open. What's up, Paul?
Paul. That's right. I'm wearing my Eddie Bauer shirt today. I set the trends, man. You know what? I'm not a Starbucks guy anymore, by the way. I found this new coffee place, Dutch Brothers. So I pull into there in Vegas about 3-4 months ago, and there's a huge line at the drive-thru. I said, let me try this place out. Coffee was great. I go out, buy the stock at $29. It promptly goes to $82. Sitting at $75 right now. But they are the up-and-comer to Starbucks. Starbucks is like...
I love you, Paul. That's the best.
They're like MySpace. You know what I mean? They're like yesterday's news.
Yeah, they're obsolete. Yeah. Like I like though when you brought it up, I was gonna kiddingly ask, will you own one of the locations or something? Of course, now you bought some stock, and now you're like, the company took off. So it's some good stuff. How do you feel about Tim Hortons coffee? I know you spent a lot of time in Canada, Paul. What about Tim Hortons?
You know, I'm going to give props to Tim Horton. First of all, they have an app. And I was in a building. It was right outside, Blue Jays Rogers Stadium there. And there was a Tim Hortons literally about 50 to 75 feet from the door. So here it is. It's like minus, you guys use Celsius, I'll use Fahrenheit. It's like 15 degrees. And I say, it's a short walk. I'll go out in shorts and a shirt. It was no problem. Coffee would be ready. My double espresso was $1.99, which is unprecedented. So cost, efficiency, Tim Hortons gets an A+. The espresso itself was like, it was okay.
Yeah, there's big coffee wars. Right. Paul was cutting it out for a second, but it sounds like he's all right right now. I didn't play the game, Paul. I watched some of the game tonight. The number wasn't really intriguing to me. The Philadelphia 76ers are getting lit up all the time. I kind of thought the Knicks would smoke them. They ended up not covering. Philadelphia ends up getting the cover tonight. But I think let's start off with the story of the night tonight in the NBA. And we didn't get to the Luka stuff last week, so I want to get your take on the Lakers a little bit more in depth. But how about them Pistons, guys? Detroit Pistons win their 8th in a row. They're now 22-9 in their last 31 basketball games. And at what point, Paul, do we start taking the Detroit Pistons for real? I know that the Boston Celtics were on a back-to-back. They played in Toronto last night. Not a big travel situation going from Toronto to Detroit. But the Raptors did give them quite, it was a 10-point game, but it was actually a battle last night for Boston. They had flat legs tonight as the game went on, but you got to give credit to the Pistons, Paul, for getting it done again. And they've been getting it done for about 2 months now.
Yeah, the Pistons are up-and-comers. Cade Cunningham, he's certainly lit it up of late. And look, the Celtics have Cleveland coming up on what is it for you guys? I guess for me, it's Saturday. For you guys, it's Friday, whatever. So that's who they have on tap. And that may have posed a little bit of a distraction. Of course, the Celtics have a 2-1 lead in the season series, and Cleveland's going to be looking to even it up. I think they will get that done. But, yeah, the Pistons have been definitely lighting it up, and they take on the Nuggets. And I believe that's on Friday, and going to get Denver after that game against Milwaukee, which takes place tomorrow night. So it should be interesting to see if they can keep it rolling. But, yeah, the Pistons have been on fire.
Yeah, and you're right as far as the Celtics are concerned. They host the Cavaliers on Friday night, guys. And then they host the Denver Nuggets they host the Nuggets on Saturday. So they got a couple of tough games coming up. No panic for them, but listen, the Pistons are just a fun team right now. Detroit sports as a whole has really turned
getting
around,
there.
guys, if you think about it. Like the Detroit Tigers came on last year. The Detroit Lions have been a fun story for the last couple of years. The Red Wings are playing good hockey. Now the Pistons are, the Pistons are going to make the playoffs. They're jockeying for home court, actually, in the first round of the playoffs. I did not play a lot of NBA basketball tonight. I played the Pistons plus the points. I played the Raptors plus the points. The Raptors were back-to-back, but they were actually 6-4 ATS back-to-back on the season so far this year. They were in the game until they weren't. Indiana pulled away as the game went on in the fourth quarter. You got Sacramento beating up on Utah right now, 84-69, and Houston Rockets beating the San Antonio Spurs 64-56 right now. We got a break coming up, but we got some late college basketball games coming up here, including SMU and California. Cal are getting plus 3 points, guys, on their home court, and are they good? No, but we've been talking about the travel for these teams that have to travel multiple time zones into Stanford and Cal in the Bay Area. Stanford and Cal combined, guys, basketball are 2-13 straight up on the road this year. All right? They're 10-4 at home. Like, teams struggle when they go into the Bay Area. And we saw the same thing in college football, right? We saw, like, the Miami Hurricanes nearly got knocked off by Cal. Stanford, were knocking teams off, even though they were kind of a mediocre football team. They were winning games. This travel stuff for these college kids that aren't used to it is real. And it's a disadvantage for them. I think Cal, is it the lock of the century? But as Paul Bovey would say, there's our degenerate weasel play of the night. The Cal Golden Bears plus 3 points on their home court. You like that, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trademarking that. That's can't touch.
Degenerate weasel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Just don't put my face on the picture. I'm fine.
You can put mine. I don't care.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not beating the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. As long as Paul Bovey's in the house with us right now, and he is the international gambler that he is. We've got a couple of little mini stories brewing here. ESPN is reporting 4 New Orleans men's basketball players have been suspended since late January, or actually suspended for NCAA violations related to sports gambling. According to multiple reports, the university's only official public statement about the matters described the reasons for the suspense as unspecified violations of team rules. Yeah, betting against the team's a violation of team rules, evidently. James White, Josh Short, Day Hunter, and Jamon Vincent have not played since the Privateers' loss on January the 27th. No one really knew the reason why. Multiple gambling industry sources tell ESPN that a betting ring under federal investigation placed bets on 2 New Orleans men's basketball games this year, the December 28 game against McNeese State and January 11th against Southeastern Louisiana, attracted bets from sportsbooks accounts associating with a betting ring that are connected to former Toronto Raptor player Jonte Porter. Like, I don't know what the hell Porter had his hand in. And, like, all these guys sitting on the bench at NBA games. He's got money on New Orleans Privateer games. I don't know what the hell's going on. But they have a list. So the teams, and, of course, Temple, huh? I tell you, like, is there a more corrupt university after Michigan State than Temple?
Amazing.
I was waiting for
Hey,
first
guys,
Bill Cosby and now this, but all right, so I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, it's amazing. Oh, Greg's getting angry. I think Fresno State was in the news last week too.
They're part of it. Yeah. They have their own little thing. And I'm just kidding about Temple. I'm pro Temple. I bet on them last week. All right. But the ring also plays.
Why should anybody be surprised about this? Come on, man. These kids, they're not going to make any money. They're not going to the pros. Exactly. Why wouldn't you take the money? You know, the thing is, you don't
know what
need
the problem is, Paul?
I
was going to say, sorry, but the problem is for these kids nowadays. In the old days, though, these kids could bet, and they would do this stuff like the Arizona State stuff. It's done with bookies, right? There was the Michigan, the guy at the car place, the car plant. The problem is these kids are so dumb. They're betting at like DraftKings and FanDuel and stuff.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Right? So like like you were going to say, Paul, they have accounts and they're like, well, I'll open an account and they won't know that my cousin put the bet in or my girlfriend. It's like, yeah, they will figure this out, kid.
And look at the schools.
When they have bookies, have bookies, you can't get off $50,000 on a game. You needed a guy like Axel Fried. Remember Axel Fried? Axel Fried was the guy, James Caan in The Gambler, which everybody's seen the movie and the remake with Mark Wahlberg. And basically, he offered this guy just some money to shave points, and he took it, and that's the way it went back then. And now it's just too easy. The market's too liquid. There's too many options, and there's too much temptation out there, and that's why this happens.
But these are small schools, Paul. Like, Gabe, when you see unusual action on McNeese State, New Orleans. Actually, like, it's not even like big conference games. Like these guys can just check this out and go, what the hell? Why is there so much action on these weird small conferences?
Because well, number one, it's a hell of a lot easier to get to a kid that plays for North Carolina A&T than it is to play for the North Carolina Tar Heels that's making millions of dollars in NIL money already, right?
True.
But that's the problem, like with these dudes. Like they're betting these games, and obviously it's going to raise red flags, especially if all the money's coming in on one side on a Mississippi Valley State game or a North Carolina A&T game. But the bettors also have ties to 2 NBA betting cases, including one that led to former Toronto Raptor Jonte Porter being banned from the league. Fresno State suspended 2 of its top men basketball scorers on Saturday and removed a 3rd player from the team amid reports that they're subject of a gambling investigation. I like that Fresno State says they're being withheld due to an eligibility matter. That's a good lawyer term. They're under investigation. Eligibility. Got a little eligibility matter here, but I remember the late great Dave Malinsky. There was like it was a story like this, and Dave said, oh, people overreact to this stuff. And he brought it up. He knew the number. He goes, Gabriel, he goes, there was 275,000 sporting events played in the world last year. He goes, 50 of them were fixed. Like, it's not a big number, right? Like,
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, last night at the Crypt, it was the Luka Doncic show against the Dallas Mavericks at the same arena right now. We got a hockey game going on. You would never know looking at it, but we are in the same arena. 1-0 early in the second period of play. The Kings have a power play right now to start the second period for the next minute and a half. 18:30 left in the second period of play. But, Paul, I wanted to get your take, your more deeper context take. We really didn't get to it much last week. I think just sort of in passing. We were up against it with all the games, but Luka Doncic with Dallas right now, and their reasoning for it continues, right? They keep on like bashing him behind the scenes right now and leaking stuff to the media, and they're basically insinuating that he's an alcoholic and he hangs out in not hooker spots, but hookah. You know, like the smoking stuff that he likes to hang around and smoke pipes with people in hookah lounges and drink. And he's a hell of a basketball player, but they think that he's going to break down. He doesn't have a real commitment to winning. All of that, you know what, I think is kind of true. You know what I mean? He's super talented, but you could tell like he's not physically in the best condition and he enjoys himself and all of that. But with all that being stated, the irony to me of you trading him because of health concerns and lifestyle concerns for a player in AD who is 7 years older than he is, who is one of the most why don't you trade him for Joel Embiid, Paul, at this point? Like of all players in the league. So my whole deal with this, I don't think it's some ultimate sin they traded Luka Doncic. But for me, what I don't understand is why they didn't do it in the offseason and or tell everybody they're doing it. at least, instead of doing some little secret deal with the Lakers because buddies with Rob Pelinka in Dallas right now. I just don't understand the Anthony Davis part of it. But with all that being stated, as we saw last night, you drop AD on that Maverick team, and they won't be an easy team to deal with. But he's going to be hurt all the time. What's your professional NBA opinion, Paul, of the Luka Doncic situation? Are you a pro or anti-Luka guy? Is it being overblown a little bit? Because he does have his deficiencies, but he's also a hell of a player. What's your take?
I think they're embellishing the problems right now. And why wouldn't you be? Because AD has only played one game. Certainly
he got hurt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have to have. I mean, he's missed God knows how many games the last 4 years. And now he comes over. You figure, all right, maybe they did a physical on him. Everything's going to be okay. And they'll win the championship this year, at least compete for it. He hasn't played. So, of course, you're going to chirp and somehow defend your position here. But it made no sense to me whatsoever, just because of the age disparity coupled with the productivity and the durability. And you can say whatever you want about Luka, but he's got his best years ahead of him. He plays most of the games. He has some calf issues along the way, but compared to AD, he's an Iron Man. So I just didn't get it. Last night, he did have a triple-double. He struggled from the field a little bit. I think he was 6 of 17. But LeBron picked it up, although he was a -5 plus-minus while he was on the floor. So somehow, some way, even though he was productive in his scoring, the team wasn't at their peak when he was on the court. So it remains to be seen how this is going to turn out. But I think in the long run, the Lakers are certainly going to get the better end of the deal.
And one thing as well, two things could be true at the same time, where he probably wasn't going to change with the Dallas Mavericks, right? I mean, he was who he was. But now that he's been called out as much as he has been, and we saw last night, dude, like he looked over at the Mavericks bench and he dropped down. He started doing push-ups before the game in front of them, right? Like, you know what I mean? He hears this and he suddenly does look thinner already. People were joking that the LA Ozempic is better. He's got the celebrity Ozempic, not
the LA
Ozempic.
Better than
he's got the real, like, basically, there was like, yeah, man, he got that real Hollywood star Ozempic, not the fake stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
That's amazing. That's so good. It's probably true. That's good. That's funny. No,
but from a basketball,
it does look a little like that. That's the whole thing. When you're that good of an athlete too, and you do those things or whatever, you can lose weight really quick. And think about it, like back and forth, right, Paul? Like, you know what I mean? Like you talk about climbing stairs.
Well, what it is, Cam, is to me, it's more that he's in a room now with LeBron James. And even though Paul found a way to take a subtle shot at LeBron James as we were talking about Luka Doncic in the conversation. You can
amazing.
I heard it, Paul. But with that being said, you can't dispute, Paul, as a workout fiend, you can't dispute LeBron's physical conditioning. So my point is, Luka is going to look at LeBron, who's like 15 years older than he is, and go, "Damn, man, this guy's in pretty good shape." Like, you know what I mean? It's only going to influence him and inspire him, I think, Paul.
Yeah, I agree with. I don't think LeBron is going to let him, just get away with what he got away with in Dallas, and he's going to keep him in check. So I think Luka will be better for it, and I think by the time this all plays out, the Lakers will get a championship with or without LeBron. They need another piece or two, and the problem with the Lakers right now, they don't have a guard that can really contain anybody. Last night, Kyrie goes off for 35 points, and that's going to be their liability going forward.
The updated Western Conference odds right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder -130, Denver Nuggets +550, the Lakers +650. And Paul, I'll ask you quickly about the everybody's talking about Luka Doncic all the time right now. Don't look now, but the Golden State Warriors look pretty good with Jimmy Butler in the lineup.
They do. And look, you got pedigree there. You got a bunch of old guys that are proven winners. So you never know what happens come playoff time, because that is a completely and distinct entity from the regular season, and these guys are certainly capable. So they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I wouldn't take them lightly because they're all proven winners. Every one of them has been part of a championship, and look, it should be an interesting postseason, and whoever takes on the Warriors better not take them lightly.
No, I agree. And Draymond Green got laughed at All-Star Weekend. He was on the panel, and he said, "I'm telling you right now, we're going to win the championship." And they're like, "Who?" And he said, "Us, the Golden State Warriors." And they were like, "Oh," everyone kind of looked at him like, "All right." And he goes, "No, I'm telling you, you're going to see." And I think they're 6-1 now since the trade. Might be 7-1, 6-1 straight up. But they've integrated Jimmy well. It's like it hasn't affected their perimeter game. And they're just sort of letting Butler do his thing and roam around. Kerr's done a nice job. Like a lot of times in basketball, guys, you hear about the chemistry issues. Oh, it's hard to integrate guys right away into the lineup and figure out where everyone wants to be. But they've done it very seamlessly in San Francisco right now with the Warriors. So speaking of which, the Warriors are on the road tomorrow night, 5.5-point road favorites against the Orlando Magic. Denver Nuggets, 2.5-point favorites against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets, guys, we'll hit this on the other side. We'll keep Paul for a couple more minutes.
Yeah,
the Hornets last 3 games, these guys have lost like by 54, 42, 36, or whatever. Like they've getting murdered.
After beating the Lakers and holding them to 97 points. Amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, they've been killed since. Pelicans and Suns, and the Lakers back in action against the T-Wolves, who suddenly sort of heating up a little bit.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There's been a lot of stuff going on online tonight. The internet is blowing up. Shaden Sharp with arguably the dunk of the year. It actually was pretty legit. I don't get you see them people overreact and players always jump up and act like, oh my God, like they've never seen anybody dunk before. This one actually was pretty good as I see it right now again. He's seriously freaking elevated, man. At the end he came flying in to begin with. And he somehow just kept getting higher and higher and higher as he got close to the basket. And it really was one of those legit, even players on Washington sort of all looked and were like, oh, damn, man. That was seriously legit. And there's a great story that I reposted here. It was courtesy of Barstool. And Barstool's not really in the breaking news business, but whenever they do come up with stuff, it's generally true. And PFT commentator tweeted out, and I saw Pat McAfee retweeted this, and he said, oh, the NFL Combine is fantastic. And Pat lives in Indianapolis, so he would know if this was true. So the fact that McAfee was retweeting this, I think it is true. And this is the story here. You're going to love this, Paul and Cam. And I don't know who your favorite NFL reporters are, Paul, but the story is, I'm hearing it, there was literally a serious big-time media confrontation at a Starbucks in Indianapolis between two NFL newsbreakers. NFL security had to be asked to step in. More to come. So the speculation out there at first is and for the record, Schultz and Ian Rappaport were going at it pretty hard today on Twitter. But people were like Jay Glazer. So number one, Jay Glazer knows MMA and is pretty ripped, Jay Glazer. I saw him at this year's Super Bowl. I've seen him a bunch of times, but I was actually right next to him this year. And I actually you actually look at him and you're like, yeah, you probably should have messed with this guy. Jay Glazer, no one in the NFL media is messing with Jay Glazer. Guy works out and parties with Chuck Liddell. Adam Schefter, people are like, is it Schefter? Schefter makes $14 million a year, and he's not getting into a fight with someone in Starbucks. But the fact that Jordan Schultz in the media, the fact that Jordan Schultz, who's in the media, whose father is Howard Schultz, who was the original CEO and owner of Starbucks, people are like, oh, it's got to be Schultz and Rappaport. We're told that Rappaport was talking to an agent. Schultz approached Rappaport and said, we need to talk, or specific, or something worse to this effect.
We need to talk. I love it. That's great.
So you're telling me the son, the owner of the Starbucks CEO, gets into a fight with Ian Rappaport in a Starbucks? Paul, who says the Indy Combine isn't fun, huh?
Yeah. I got to start following it. I really haven't been on top of it, but sounds like General Hospital back in the day, man,
Nah, these reporters don't like each other. So no, all these guys, they're breaking news. They all who tweeted it out first, and then they fight about it after. So speaking of football, this is a good one here. This is a great video. Best of X, NFL sumo style. Let's roll. Not only does the sumo wrestler and roll it again, so this is Micah Parsons. This is Dallas Cowboy stud Micah Parsons. And roll it another time, you guys. Micah Parsons trying to take down a sumo wrestler.
He's toying with him.
Not only this, look, the sumo wrestler starts laughing at him here. Yeah. He's literally laughing. He's like, oh, come on. And Micah Parsons is like, hey, get me someone in my weight class. Dude, you're bigger than the sumo wrestler is. That leg power. And he tried, Cam. Look at Parsons. Yes, he exploded into him bang. He tried to truck the Japanese dude. Sumo wrestler wasn't having it, bro.
Remember Charles Wong talked about sumo wrestlers taking up the net? How about sumo wrestlers as offensive linemen?
Well, that's the thing now. People are like, dear God. What do you think, Paul? Pretty impressive, huh?
I don't think this. I think the sumo wrestler has got to be a guard because I don't think he's going to be able to protect the quarterback's blind side, though. I don't think he's going to be
Good call,
quick
guard. That's really
Yeah.
strong belt. That's amazing.
That's the thing. I know because we've talked about putting a sumo
I saw
wrestler
it.
in a hockey net before, but it doesn't work. Like,
Doesn't
they're
work.
not fast enough
Yeah,
to
I
move.
saw it. I retweeted it. It was amazing, and I don't think it's good for Micah Parsons' stock to have that get out there, but it did.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that he's out there trying this stuff in the off season. You know what I mean? He's having fun. He's working out. He's trying to get better and stuff like that. And he'll learn a move or two, right? He'll learn a move or two. That'll help him. All right, Paul, what are you looking at today for you where you are right now? But the NBA action, overnight card, what are you looking at?
So I played Phoenix, and this team has really struggled defensively. The last 9 games, they have given up at least 117 in regulation to the Bulls, that was, and an average of 124. They have lost 9 out of 11, 5 out of 6, just come off a tough loss to Memphis in overtime. They had them by 10 points in the third quarter. But I think they need a feel-good game. They had 5 guys over 20 points in that one. And New Orleans comes to town. They played previously, 126-124 game, very close. Brandon Ingram was the leading scorer for the Pelicans. He's gone. He went to your favorite team's city, the Raptors, okay? And Kelly Olynyk traded for. He's not going to play. And then you had KD was out for that one. So anyway, I just think Phoenix is going to have a comfortable win here. The total comes in at 236, and I think that's a soft number. I think fair value is 239. So I'm going over, and I'm going Phoenix.
There's a local chicken pita sandwich shop in Toronto that signed Kelly Olynyk to a contract commercial. Then he gets traded. Every time one of these stiffs on the Raptors gets a local pizza deal, Cam, or something, they always get traded after.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. So, but I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I'm Morency. We're going to keep Paul Bovey for a couple of more minutes. He and Cameron will step up and in. We've got another goal at the Crypt in Los Angeles as the Vancouver Canucks have taken a 2-0 lead on the LA Kings tonight. So our under 5.5, our Vancouver Canucks money line, and our Canucks plus 1.5 are all in play right now. 2-0, 6:53 left in the second period of play. One thing with the Canucks, though, even though they're winning 2-0, it's a problem for them, and it's not going to change. Like, it is what it is. I talked about it last year with them, where they used to get outshot all the time, but they would score. Like I said, it's unbelievable. Like, this team, like, they would, like, have, 12 shots on goal in the first two periods, but have, 4 goals. They had an incredibly high score, shoot-to-score rate. It was impossible to keep up. Like, people wonder, the locker room turmoil. It's like, no, they just don't score as much. Like, right? And like they were, the goals expected level was like higher than what it should have been. And now it's down to like more reality. Last year they scored a 13% rate. Now it's down to 10%. And that's a big difference. Like it's like 2.56 to like 3.2.
Good call, Gabe. That's Nashville's problem. They just can't score goals. Like, it's one of those situations.
Nashville have a million problems. They're just a terrible team. But the Vancouver Canucks tonight, they're winning 2-0. They only have 8 shots on goal with 6 minutes left in the second period. Like, it's a legitimate problem for them that they just have to deal with, and they're going to have to correct from a X and O standpoint moving forward. But all right, Paul. So talking about the Phoenix Suns, the game tomorrow, we were going into the break. We got about 3-4 minutes here, so let's recap the 2 NBA plays you already got in. You're playing the Cav game, or what else are you playing? Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, I'm back on. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm back on.
Yeah, we got you.
I lost.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm playing the Cavs against the Celtics. These teams played 3 times this year so far, and it's 2-1 Celtics. But in those 2 games, which were by small margins, I believe it was 5 and 7, the Celtics outscored them by 36 and 21 from beyond the arc. And Cleveland is actually the more efficient 3-point shooting team. They shoot 39 from beyond. The Boston shoots 37. So I don't think you can count on that kind of an anomaly on Friday when they play. I'm going to go with the Cavs. I think they're the better team. And you guys were talking yes, no's on golf. And I like the no on the Celtics. I would lay up to 250. Circa has it at minus 280. I don't think the Celtics are going to win the championship. I don't think they're going to get by Cleveland. And I don't think they're going to get by OKC. I think they were a little fortunate last year to take it all down. And I like Cleveland when they play hook up on Friday night.
One thing with the Cavaliers are the real deal, this team. Like, they really are. They have it all. I kind of agree with you with the Celtics. I think they're going to run out of gas. I was talking about it earlier with hockey teams playing, like, going to the finals all the time, and it catches up to your body, and it's hard to stay on top of it mentally. But as far as your Knicks, Paul, health has to be the concern. OG is the key, and I know, being a Raptor fan, bro, it's the same thing when he was with the Raptors. It was always like, is OG playing, and what's the OG status? And he makes that much of a difference when he's on or off the court for teams. But the Knicks have a problem, Paul, this year against the top teams, don't they? Right? I mean, they're beating everybody else. Forget about covering spreads, but they've really struggled against the Celtics, the Cavs, the Celtics, the Cavs, and Oklahoma Cities of the world this year. The top teams, what are they, like 0-7 against the top teams?
Yeah, Gabe, I understand and I agree. And I appreciate everything that Leon Rose did in putting this team together. I wasn't a big fan of the Cat trade because we lost Dante, but he's definitely overachieved. But the problem is they don't have enough rim protection. Without Mitchell Robinson in the lineup, even with OG, under the assumption that he is healthy into the playoffs, which he wasn't last year, they're going to have trouble preventing these teams from getting inside because Cat, look, he's not the best defender, but you put Mitchell Robinson in there, but he is like Joel Embiid. He's glass. You cannot count on him. And frankly, it just hasn't worked so far. So we'll see what happens. But, look, they're going to need a guy in the middle. Hopefully Robinson gets healthy.
Paul Bovey, great stuff as always, Paul. We got the NCAA tournament around the corner. We'll see if you come up with any bracket busters for us from one of the many schools. You went to a billion schools. You're going to have a few of one in the tournament somehow.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. So, but I've played it well, and I really liked it that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I'm Morency. Thanks to Paul Bovey for joining us on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM, Channel 159. NCAA tournament is around the corner, but we had some real madness tonight already. Of course, Michigan State wins at the buzzer, and it was Maryland's fault. It was 55-55, and literally, it's 55-55. There's like 4 seconds left. Maryland has the ball, but the dude on Maryland shot too soon. Like, he should have waited, right, a little bit, just another second or so, second and a half or so. He shoots the ball, and it was one of those 1 in a million type of rebounds where he bricked it off the front of the rim. It, rebounded quickly and hard to a kid on Michigan State who just heaved one up like a Hail Mary wing and a prayer at the buzzer. Even Izzo said that was a lucky as hell shot, but we'll take it. And it went in. They win 58-55. Tonight, Kentucky win 83-82 against Oklahoma. They survived. 1 point game on the road. Really, really close. Heartbreaking loss for the Sooners, who are, part of that first 4 out and I guess second 4 out type of deal. I don't know if they'll show mercy for the SEC, but I think they could be on the outside looking in. And we have a real bubble watch game going on right now, and they're in freaking overtime. With Arkansas and Texas. We're on the Hogs on the money line right now. It's 79-76.
What happened?
For Arkansas with 54 seconds left in overtime.
The Hogs were killing them, Gabe, early. I remember because I was looking at them like Arkansas is taking these guys out to the woodshed. That's tough, man. If they lose this game, that's a monumental collapse. They were up double digits.
BYU's rolling Arizona State. BYU's really like just on fire. One thing I want to get in on this game, it started right before the show, started. But the thing with BYU, they've been killing teams. They've been winning at home. Now they go on the road. They get that big win in Arizona the other day. And then plus they had the taunts and the chants and stuff at the end of the game. They're still in the state of Arizona now. You saw it with like the booing of the national anthems and stuff for the Four Nations. It just inspired the other teams. And I knew tonight, I was like, BYU are going to be in a bad mood tonight. like they're already killing teams. Now you insulted their faith. You chanted this stuff. They're still in the same state. They're just going to take out their frustration on Arizona State, who aren't that good. And here are BYU up 91-74 right now with a minute left. We should note Ohio State are rolling USC 52-38 at the half. Boise State are up 37-31 on Utah State at the half. The Beavers are up 20-15 on the Dons. 8 minutes left in the first half, and SMU are up 31-19 on Cal with 6.5 left in the first half. Ian Cameron, Babano. What's going on, Babano? What do you think about this late-night college basketball card?
It's going well for me right now as far as assuming everything holds the way it is right now. We like BYU. We have the over with the Ohio State-USC game. USC's been an over machine. They just keep getting involved in a lot of high-scoring games. They score a lot, but they don't play much defense, and the Buckeyes and the Trojans are flying over the total right now as we speak. 90 points at halftime. They're 52-38. Boise and Utah State's a good game. I laid off that game, but I did lean to Boise. I'm on Oregon State, and I'm on the over with SMU and Cal. I probably should have taken SMU. It seems like there's a big gap between them and Cal. The only thing I was concerned about was the long travel spot to the West Coast. But they're better than Cal, and they're showing it so far.
They are, but I got a feeling Cal, they're getting 12.5 right now. I wouldn't write Cal off in this game. As you stated, it's been a good start for them. I brought up the numbers. Cal and Stanford are a combined 2-13 on the road in ACC play, and they're 10-4 at home. As you stated, it was like football. Teams do struggle when they go out to the Bay Area to play Stanford and Cal this year, but SMU are a much better team. All right, in the NBA game, the Rockets are killing the Spurs 101-79 right now, and in the NHL game, 2-0 for the Vancouver Canucks and 2-0 for the Colorado Avalanche right now. 15.5 left in the Avalanche and the Devils, and 151 left in the second period. Vancouver, I'm not going to say Vancouver playing great tonight, right? It's the one thing with the Vancouver Canucks. People overreact and sort of, or overreact or underreact to they're very consistent in the way they play. I was saying it earlier, Babano, they don't get a lot of shots on goal, this team, right? They have the second fewest shots in the NHL on goal. Look at right now, they got 12 shots on goal with 2 minutes left in the second period. Right? It's the puck went in a couple of times for them. They scored on the power play. Lankinen is playing well tonight, but they're playing like they usually play, to be honest. They did get Hughes back, which was a late surprise. A lot of people didn't think he was going to play. He was in, he was out. They still could blow this, but good start for the Canucks right now, Babano.
No, they're playing well. They're revitalized with the return of the captain. At least defensively, they're playing well. They have to generate more shots. I mean, they're fortunate to be up 2-0 because they really haven't generated much, but they've taken advantage of the chances they've gotten. Their penalty kill's been good. Kings haven't done very well with the power play tonight. And look, this is the way they're going to try. Even with Quinn Hughes back, and he's going to help them offensively as far as get the puck up the ice, start the rush. This is still a team that's going to try to win low-scoring games. They have played a very low-scoring, tight-checking brand of hockey for a while, Vancouver. That's the way they have to survive right now.
Gabe, you know one thing about the Canucks, too? They play to the level of their competition a lot. They own Toronto this year. Versus top 15 teams, look at their record. What are they, 26-18-11? That's what Vancouver, I like them in tonight's spot, and I know the Kings have been on fire at home, but these are the type of games Vancouver shows up against good teams. This is they're a very weird hockey team, but against the upper echelon, they can do well. So maybe a good spot. We're all on them.
Well, they've lost the both games they played since coming out of the Four Nations. So tonight was sort of a serious line in the sand game for them. They needed to win. So they haven't won the game yet, but they've done a pretty good job of every
Especially
time.
with what Calgary's doing this week. My gosh,
Yeah.
the Flames. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of hockey left, though. I brought it up about the Canucks starting tonight, bro. 50 days left in the regular season for them.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the playoffs should be sooner. They're not. Like, there's still 50 days left for the Canucks and everyone else. They play 25 games in 50 days coming up. So a lot of stuff can happen. We'll hit the will they make the playoff odds after. Hopefully they're up right now because they're playing. But I do believe that the Canucks will make the playoffs when it's all said and done over the Calgary Flames. I think the Flames are streaky and stuff, but I think the Canucks will do enough and to get past the Flames. That's my prediction.
It's going to be interesting. I know my colleague disagrees, Alex. He's got a Canucks to miss the playoffs ticket, and he likes Calgary to make it instead of them. It'll be interesting to see how. The one thing that concerns me about Calgary here is scoring depth and that blue line, which is still outside of Weegar, outside of Rasmus Anderson. There's still some question marks there about the depth of that Flames blue line. One thing they're doing, though, is they're getting good goaltending, and this blue line, the guys other than those two I mentioned have played really well. Now, are they going to keep playing well as the games get more important, as the games get more critical? That's going to be the big test for them.
Well, think of the Calgary Flames. They've done what they've done with hard work. Like, they just grind. Like, you know what I mean? They're grinders. They remind me of last year's.
How good Weegar and Rasmus Anderson are. Those are really good defensemen.
What about
really
Kadri?
Good.
The guy's on fire, dude. Like, honestly, Nazem Kadri does everything. Like, Gabe's right. Like, and I watch his team play. They put their hard hats on. They never get outworked. I got to hand it to this organization. Like, people projected them to be like bottom feeders, but the Calgary Flames always give you an honest effort. Wolfman's pretty good in net, too.
Oh, Wolves having a great year for them. The Canucks, though, are only 1 point behind them right now. And if they win this game, suddenly they would catapult them. So it's that close. It's going to be a battle. I still think the Canucks have a run. Maybe I'm being a little bit overly positive, but they're not a bad team, the Canucks, and really, they've had a bad year. Like, nothing has gone their way. They've had a lot of players that haven't played well, and they're still right in it.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really liked it that we're heading there with where.
All right, let's do this thing. The Wicked Wednesday continues. Shout out to everybody tuning in on X right now. Our boy Carl Johnson in the house on the Beavers. We got Degenerate Dean says he remembers when Bargnani was doing Primo Pasta sauce commercials. Were still running years after he got traded. Yeah, that's I'm telling you, there's a law. Like if you're a big white guy on the Raptors and you sign some sort of local deal, you know you're getting traded soon.
Yeah,
just point blank. If I was Grady
ad,
Dick,
guys.
I'd be
Primo Pasta and sauce. Yeah, I still
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
him saying. Yeah.
It's true, Gabe. Valanciunas, Pizzaville, Bargnani, Primo. You're right. Like these guys are done.
Kelly
Like,
Olynyk just got traded after he got the chicken pita commercial. Like if I was Fred Van Fleet with the Gillette, he's gone.
Yep.
If I was Grady Dick, I'd be like thinking, where am I going to get traded to next year? Like,
Yeah,
I
you're right. He's
start to
the
wonder.
new Gillette spokesperson. You're
Dick's
right.
got nothing to shave. What's he doing in a Gillette ad?
Well, he looks good. He's got smooth skin. T-Mac likes it. Come on, Babano.
Honestly, what it is, Babano, like, and Cam, what it is with the Raptors, they do a good job of that because there's a lot of the, if I play in Canada, I won't have the same sponsorship opportunities and, like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So they actually tell them, listen, we're going to get you in a Gillette ad. You're going to be on commercials. Don't worry. Like, the Raptors help facilitate. They're not, I don't know about, like, there's rules to it, but it's not a coincidence that if you're on the Raptors, you don't have to be a star player to get, like, TV deals. Look at Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes on every second commercial. It's a good example. Like, you know what I mean? If you're on the Raptors, you're going to get sponsorship
Google
deals.
Pixel with Jack all the time. Yeah.
Google, big companies, too, you know?
They have a new one too. It's like you sell your car quickly, and then quickly becomes a sponsor for like this. Insurance. It's unbelievable. It's like his mom goes, "Great job."
Quickly gets one of the lower tier
Yeah,
ones.
get
Quick online
Clutch.
insurance. I'm quickly. Do it quickly.
They're called Clutch. Amazing. That's so good.
That's what I'm saying. Even quickly, everyone gets a deal. You sign with the Raptors. I got to tell you, Brandon Ingram's got to get a deal with a weed company because that guy looks baked. I don't know how he plays basketball. Like his eyes are like they're closed. Like he's like literally
Aussie.
The guy's the chillest, like dude. Like he barely like. He's like, yeah, I'm really, really, really cool to be here in Toronto. Like they tried to do an interview with him. Like the poor girl. Like he gave like 2-word answers. Yeah, I know it's an honor. So what do you think? The Raptors showed confidence. He gave you $120 million for 3 years. I'm very excited about that. No, they're like, he's standing there.
I love
no
him.
smile.
He's amazing.
Very excited about that.
I like him.
He goes, no, he's like, no, I like it here. And he's like, I've always liked it. He goes, when I used to come here as a visitor, I liked it here. Like he gave nothing to this girl. She's like, Brandon Ingram, welcome to Toronto. And she back to you, Jack. Like, you know, after a couple of seconds, it's like, all right, this isn't going anywhere. I got to send it back to you. All right, so we got the 2-0 game here. I wanted to get to this, the Four Nations, and me and Greg discussed this, Greg Frank and Master Control, last week, and we pretty much guessed it. We were wondering about the markets. So the game did 10 million viewers in the United States, the Four Nations final. We have one last best of X, if you can roll this one, Greg, in Master Control. And it was pretty predictable with the markets, but there were a few surprises. So the number one market in the United States to watch the Four Nations was Boston, where it was 19% of households. Pittsburgh, 19%. Sidney Crosby getting a lot of love. Buffalo just loves hockey. Poor bastards, never in the playoffs. Barely any players in the tournament. I don't think they had anybody in the game. They still watched. Like Minneapolis, St. Paul, great hockey town, 15%. Detroit, great hockey town. St. Louis doesn't get credit for it. Great hockey town. Denver, great hockey town. West Palm Beach surprised me, but it's just big MAGA territory down there. So maybe they were all patriotic. Then you got Kachuk that plays there, and you got a ton of Canadians that live there as well. So it's like a weird combination. New York City, 8.9%. Chicago, 8.7%. And there's another list here. You get the actual sort of like how many people. New York City, 675,000 people. Pretty good number, actually. Boston, 500,000 people watching in Boston. Chicago, 320K. Minneapolis, St. Paul. L.A. surprised me, guys, that they were that many. In L.A., Thursday night in California, games at 5 o'clock. They still got 275,000 people. And there's Philadelphia. I would take a flyer shot, but I don't want Greg to cut my mic after the Temple remark early. I'm just say people in Philly haven't watched championship hockey in a while.
It's been a while. It's Bernie Perrant.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, Ron Hextall. No, they made it to the finals since Bernie Perrant.
Don't forget, guys, don't forget, though, that if they don't run into Wayne Gretzky and the Oilers in the 80s twice, they could have won a Stanley Cup. Keenan took them to the Stanley Cup final twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. But the Flyers, you're right. They were one of those teams that were really, really good that just like couldn't get over the top.
And Tim Kerr was injured one year when they went to the final. He was like the best scorer on the team. That guy was an underrated player back in the day.
Damn right.
He was really good.
Well, he was paid. Like he was he's underrated now, I would say, with Bantam. No one talks about him now, but when he played, people knew about you know what I mean? Like he played on like Team Canada and played
the Flyers always had horrible goaltending after Pelle Lindbergh. That was their bad. Like those series versus Pittsburgh, who'd they have? Like Roman Czechman. Like they had some real
No, that's after though. There was a sequence before that.
Yeah.
No, but they had good goalies after that. They had Bernie Perrant, the tragedy, the Pelle Lindbergh tragedy.
Yeah.
Bernie Perrant with his eye. Pete Peters was a really good goalie for them. Ron Hextall was a really, really good goalie for them. It's been the post Hextall, which is not.
That's what I'm saying.
Bernie
That's what I'm
Perrant.
saying. After Hextall, like there's been nobody. Like that's why the Philadelphia Flyers had good teams. You know, very good. Pelle Lindbergh too. What a tragedy. He was one of the best goalies. That sucked.
Arkansas just won the basketball game. Big win for them. So we cashed Kentucky and we cashed Arkansas in the little bubble watch games. SMU are leading California by 13, though, right now. 42-29 late in the first half. The Beavers are up on the Dons 31-22. And Boise State are up 43-38. Boise really need to win a bunch of games down the stretch here for their tournament hopes. All right, we'll get some golf picks on the other side. Let's roll.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. So, but I've played it well, and I really liked it that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
He goes George Hainsworth. George Hainsworth is the best goalie ever. He goes, look it up, dumbass. And it was too good. He's like, look it up, dumbass. and we're rolling here. Was talking about the goalies and greatest goalies ever and all this. It's a big, it's a loose conversation. But one of the famous calls in Montreal that we got years ago was from an old dude named Graham. We were talking about Marty Brodeur or Patrick Waugh, and he goes, "Hey, the best goalie ever, you idiots, is George Hainsworth, because he had like 23 shutouts in 1 year." And he actually did, but you were barely allowed to like pass the puck forward. Like this is like, it was like 1918 or 1920 or something. But it's, when you talk who's the best goalie ever, it's always going to be, I guess, a personal preference. I would go with Ken Dryden. Like if I needed a goalie in one game,
it's a good call.
You got Brodeur is great. Marty Brodeur was great and stuff like that. So speaking of which, 2-1 right now for the Devils and the Avalanche. Just started because Greg Frank said the Devils were boring when they won cups during the break. All right, Cam, best bets. Golf, we went over it earlier. What do you got for the Blockbuster Classic that's coming up?
What, Cognizant? It used to be called the Honda Classic. I like when they did it.
Sounds like a cough medicine or something that's going to knock you to sleep. Like, and also, I like how it's called a classic.
Yeah, it's not a classic at all. It was the Honda Classic when they used to hit the car.
Was it?
Yeah,
was this used to be the Honda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember they put it right off the car that used to be.
And Honda got out of the business. Yeah.
I miss Honda already. Cognizant. Yeah. Anyway, Russell Henley game. We talked about him at 25-1. This guy is just one of the best. He's perfect for these Florida tracks too. The guy hits it, and it's all about the putter. But Henley's an amazing golfer. Davis Thompson's a guy that really fits the bill. He's a very, very underrated player at 40-1. Watch out for him. He already has a win, and when he's hot, he's hot. Max Graserman, we talked about a little bit cocky coming out of Duke, but this kid will like the Florida swings. Gabe, we talked about straight ball hitting, approach irons. He's that guy. Billy Horschel, I know Brady Cannon liked him as well, 52-1. He's a Florida Gator. He'll like the surface. Andrew Novak has been knocking on the door all year, and the guy, Eric Cole, lost in a playoff to Chris Captain Kirk that time where he hit the ball. Kirk hit the Honda. Cole is 90-1 looking for that first win, guys. We got top 10s, 20s, and 40s too. I got a couple guys for you, Gabe. I'm going to mix it up because like a lot of the times we got to play. These are the guys you got to hit. Shane Lowry, everyone likes him. I'll take him for a top 10 at plus 260. Daniel Berger, I don't want him to win. Top 20 plus 130. Sepp Straka, a lot of people in the golf world like him this week. Georgia Bulldog plus 150. Watch out for a newcomer, Ryan Gerard. He's been top 20s all season long. Nobody really knows this guy. Corn Ferry guy, now to the PGA Tour, playing well, plus 105. Nicholas Norgard, the other Dane. Everyone's on Højgaard. I like Norgard at plus 135. And Gabe, your boy from Florida Atlantic, Ben Silverman, top 40, plus 140. First round leaders. We hit one last week with Harry Hall and Chris Ventura, golf detective. Henley, 35. Taylor Pendrith, Babano's guy at 50. Andrew Novak, a smooth 60-1. Chris Kirk always plays well out of the gate at 90-1. I'm all in on Eric Cole at 90. And Gabe, your favorite. Remember when you call him the serial killer, Joel Damon, 110-1. He almost won last week, by the way. Joel Damon played great last week. Hopefully he plays well in the first round, 110-1. Good luck, everybody.
It's a lot of picks. That's like Babano style. Like a lot of picks there.
I only have 6 guys to win. I do top 20s and 30. And Babano's got like 20 guys to win. I got 6. Let's see how many he's got. What do you got, Babano?
Okay, what do we got? We've got Andrew Novak. You mentioned him already. 50-1. We got Nikolai Højgaard, 55-1. Luke Clanton, 60-1. You mentioned Ryan Gerard. My golf guy really likes Ryan Gerard this week. 80-90-1 range as potentially someone live. Jake, go take a nap at 90-1. My golf guy likes him there. Isaiah Salinda.
That's your guy, Babano. Late night nap, Babano.
Yeah, late night. Yeah, Jake.
Isaiah Salinda, 110. A couple bombs here. Isaiah Salinda, 110. Nicholas Echevarria, 110-1. And going down the board even further, Chandler Phillips, 120-1. So a couple of big bombs here at the end.
Brady at Echevarria at 110-1.
Shout out to our boy Kyle Johnson, who says, don't forget about Gar Snow and his big illegal pads.
Oh, yes.
With the Flyers goaltenders. That's the thing. The Flyers goaltenders, they were so bad they had to cheat with the big pads.
Yeah. Gar Snow was a lacrosse goalie. God, this equipment was horrible.
Hextall started it, and then Gar Snow just took it to a new level. Hextall had like a literal living room couch as his goalie pads. He walked into like a furniture store. He cut it in two.